have AI-based bots happening everywhere.
Yeah, I think this is the question more on the societal adoption of technology in general. Right? How do we adopt technology? Right? Now, maybe I can ask the question: do you guys access your financial information on app today?
Yes.
You do. Do you have any concerns about it?
We are actually very good.
Would you like to go back to the passbook?
I think that is individual's decision. If you ask me, I will say yes.
Maybe, but I think most people will probably stick to the app, right? We are so happy paying on Google Pay.
Correct, but I also feel there is a challenge because our age fine, but the people who are older than us, they still feel old system, school of thought is better.
Yeah.
Because they find it difficult to adopt
Operate.
these operating procedures of these apps, banking apps.
Exactly. And this is where the
And
natural
many
language.
banks, I think even some of the banks like HDFC, I think they discourage customers to come physically to the bank. They
Yeah.
want us to do everything.
They want to save
online.
money.
But then they will be losing on some customers like this. I think there is a good percentage of people who lie in that particular age group,
Yeah.
more than 60 years of age. So how that can be addressed then?
I think societal challenges with adoption of technology will exist. Like if you think about a bank, if you look at the population, if you plot the population that they're dealing with and the services that they're providing, if you say less than 60 years old or more than 60 years old, and if you do more than 25 or less than 25 years old, that is the segment that's growing rapidly. And that segment, so when they think about business, they think about how to get the most amount of growth most quickly, right? So they may be losing some customers, right? But there's a counterintuitive thought here. The counterintuitive thought is that if you add bank branches, then your cost of financial transaction goes up. That means you cannot have that many bank branches to serve the number of customers here. So if you get a plot of bank branches to number of customers, it will tell the story, right? That how digitization has maintained a certain level of service to this large banking population, right? And as more modern technology comes in, right, what will happen is, because this cost will go down, they will be able to give more individual service to those who actually need and afford. Right? They can be mandated. Right? Government can mandate. RBI can mandate. RBI can mandate that if you're dealing with a senior citizen, you have to do ABC. And you can do ABC because in the rest of the customer population, you really don't have costs. Right? You're bodified or agentified everything. Right? So I think in a net, you may end up at a better place. But yeah, trust is going to be important. Trust is going to be important.
I think that is confidentiality. And how long can we bank on without human intervention? We've seen the recent all the machinery, everything failed, and human intervention helped those.
Uttarakhand.
Yeah.
That whole mining.
Yeah. So that miners came to the rescue of it.
Yeah.
Completely doing away with the human. I mean, that is my thought now.
Yeah.
Everyone may not agree with me, but I feel that is my thought process.
Even now, human ingenuity will play a role.
If we stop using our minds and
In fact, I have a slide on that. Human mind usage. So maybe I'll just quickly run through the rest of the slides in the interest of time. So what you were talking about, responsible AI, safety, ethics, you were right on point with respect to that. And there's a big alignment problem in AI today because AI does not understand the human values. Right? So almost every company you speak about, the ChatGPT guys or Cloud and others, alignment has become their major area of research because they know if they cannot build trust, there will be no users. So that's a big area of research, and I hope that Indian institutions also actively work in these areas. The other area that's important from an AI perspective is when you are ingesting all this data, how do you attribute that you took information from this person? Right? There is no attribution today. There is no model for attribution today. If you read my tweet about, let's say, a certain financial trend, and if you use that to build your model, what part of your revenue should I get? Right? So those questions are all unanswered. The other area that is, I think, going to be huge from a research point of view is quality testing and model certification. Right? Because every model will need some quality parameters in which it does well, where it is safe to use. Right? So think of it like a pharma industry, drug industry, right? Where every drug goes through clinical trial before saying it is safe for human usage, and these are the side effects. In case of information technology, and unfortunately we have sort of given pass to anybody to do anything, and I think this will have to change. The other area that's is receiving a lot of money is planning, because what I spoke about agents before, the agents imply that you have to have a planning to get the task done, and that planning function is missing from agents, and that's why human prompting and chain of thought kind of models are, but they're all human intensive. If this technology for the agents is to succeed, you have to have planning as a modeling and frontier technique. The last one, which I think is going to make AGI possible, is going to be causal inference, because today all of this is correlation. All statistics is correlation. So from correlation to causation is a big shift. And today the only way the LLMs know what human is asking for, there are probably 100 or thousands of people who are actually training these things. Right? But the correlation to causation shift, unless that happens fundamentally for AI, AI will remain what it is today. And this is the big area of debate in the world of AI. I'm going to skip this slide in the interest of time. This is a slide on evaluation of models, which I think I can skip as well. But this is interesting. If you look at this slide, and this correlates to the first slide, that the moment the politicians are starting to get involved in something, you know there is some value and money into this. Right? So the US president has gotten involved in the AI, which means something serious is starting to happen. Right? Now, what will happen with US, knowing US, is they're going to enforce it on everybody and do the reverse themselves. But nonetheless, I think it does highlight some very important things. Right? One is, if you think about AI, and if you think of these agents, if the agents became autonomous, can they build a biological weapon? Can they build a chemical weapon? Right? It's possible. Right? So you have to essentially re-architect the whole society to ensure that only a real human being in physical shape and form is able to buy a certain chemical. So lot more, you can see a lot more controls and regulated economies to prevent AI from doing what it is. Right? So it's going to be both sides coming together in building a more safer society. Okay, so academia, right? So some of the things that were kind of interesting to me was what's happening with the AI research papers. Right? So if you look at AI research papers, India really does not figure. Right? The leading countries are United States, China, Japan, United Kingdom. And this is not a good news for Indian academia. And I think this situation needs to change. And I'm hoping that more funding in AI research will change this picture. But certainly, one is there is a huge momentum towards AI research papers in the last 10 years, but India is still nowhere to be seen in that list. Some of the questions that we can ask, I think, I'm sure you guys are asking them all the time. Is there a place and room to do fundamental foundational work? What is the payback on this kind of research if governments don't support it, for example? we are great at assimilating technology, but we are not great at producing novel new technology. And we have leveraged, for example, mobile technology. We never built it. So I think we have to, as we are becoming almost $4 trillion economy, our economic resources getting better, I think it's time to make that shift and spend money in fundamental foundations. Because if you look at some of these companies, right, OpenAI is a $90 billion market valuation. Nvidia is a $1 trillion valuation. And Microsoft is a $3 trillion. Right? And $3 trillion, we are at a GDP of $3.5 trillion. Right? So it sort of tells you that when you are investing in fundamental foundational work, the payoff is much larger. It may be 20 years away, but the payoff is much larger. Right? This is another slide that sort of makes that point a little bit more, that in this area is where you create valuation and create more risk capital, and this is where you create value for sustained business, right? But and we do fairly well here. We have to do better here, right? In the left half of this spectrum. Right? And I used to be reasonably good at mathematics, but I think over time I lost touch with mathematics. And I went to a lecture at ISC 3-4 years ago where Professor Siddharth, do you know Professor Siddharth? I forget his last name. So he was talking about mathematics for beginners, mathematical thinking type course. And he was speaking about how mathematics is the language of the universe. And he started his lecture by saying that, look, this concept like 1, 2, 3, it's all man-made. In nature, there is no 1, 2, 3. There are trees. We started counting the trees. 1, 2, 3. Right. But 1, 2, 3, the essential idea of 1, 2, 3 counting is that it gave a structure to the world. Right. And then I don't remember that as well, but his argument was essentially that mathematics is the foundation on which all other sciences are built, like physics, chemistry, biology, in that order. In fact, I think he doesn't consider biology as science itself. But nonetheless, so the point is that mathematics is the language of the universe, and therefore mathematics is quite important for the industry. And with AI, I think that's going to become even more important. Even simple things, if I remember from my sort of grade 12th, I believe, like matrix multiplication, or nobody could understand why I'm doing matrix multiplication. Why the hell am I? Why are you asking me to do more and more complex matrix multiplication, right? But now you can see it, right? Now the value is that you can see it. You do matrix multiplication to get to certain attributes of something, right? Which has a real physical world manifestation, right? So I think AI in a way can make mathematics teaching very interesting, where you can see whether it's an algebraic function, it's calculus, they all are very important to understanding real world. And I think AI can do a fantastic job of making math more interesting, and that's my excitement for maths. In fact, there should be interdisciplinary studies in maths and anything. That's why I left that as blank. That we should have maths and something, right? And that's for everything in the list, right? Okay, let's give 5 minutes to this last chapter also. I'm going to skip this, but I'm going to talk about this. So this movie came out 2001: A Space Odyssey in 1968. And if you get time, you guys should all watch it. It's a fantastic director called Stanley Kubrick. Basically, it talks about a robot that has gone rogue. Right? And it has gone rogue because it has learned to lie. And Stanley Kubrick basically plays on this fact that when you have technology that you don't understand what it does, it can have ramifications to the whole society. In this case, it was a failed mission to Jupiter. But suddenly I think this is starting to make sense. Right? So, but for 55 years earlier, he was thinking about technology, its ramifications when you don't understand what it means, right? And it can have disastrous consequences. Another interesting thing that just came, I think, rather to your point, that authentic was the 2023 word of the year. People are starting to wonder what authentic means, right? Because they're spread in the sea of misinformation, right? So authentic is certainly